Welcome to another episode of Sew with Zoe. This time we'll be making a kitchen apron for kids. Things the kit will include is 2 yards of twirl tape, a fat quarter of a decorative fabric for your pocket, and a half a yard or 3/4 of a yard of patterned fabric for the outside of your apron, and a half a yard or 3/4 of a yard of solid fabric for the inside of your apron. The things you'll need from home are a ruler to cut your fabric. I'm using a sewing ruler, but you can use any ruler. Some nice scissors to cut your fabric with. Something to mark your fabric. I'm using this chalk since my fabric's dark. And a tape measure. The first thing you want to do is take some measurements. Your first measurement is going to be all the way around your waist. If this measurement is more than 27 inches, you're going to want to get the large kit. But if it's 27 inches or less, then you're going to want to get the small kit. I'm using the small kit. Your next measurement is going to be from one side of the back of your hip to the other. These two measurements you're going to want to write down. Then your last measurement is going to be from where you want the top of your apron to be to the bottom. Mine is from the top of my chest to the bottom of my kneecap. This one you'll want to write down too. Now it's time to cut our fabric. Go ahead and put your twill tape and fat quarter aside. Then you're going to take your pretty fabric and open it up. Then lay it down on your desk, where the pretty side is facing up. Now open up your solid color. Solids don't really have a front and back. It's just the same. So just lie it right on top of your other fabric. If there's any wrinkles at the bottom, go ahead and straighten them out. Now see these selvages we have here at the top? We don't want to be able to see those. So, grab some scissors and do a little snippety snip snip along the top so that you can't see those selvages. See, all fixed. Now you're going to take your measurements from earlier and using the measurement that you used from the top of your chest down to your kneecaps to find out the height of your apron. Mine was 26 inches. So I'm going to take my tape measure. I'm going to measure 26 inches. And I'm actually going to measure it right here and put a mark and right here. And put a mark. Now that I have my 2 marks, I'm going to draw a line from one mark to another. Then I'm going to finish it off right over here. And boom, there's your line. If you feel that your line is a little crooked in some places, go ahead and just redraw it. Just remember not to cut on the crooked line. Now you're going to cut along this line. You won't need this. Now take the measurement you used from the back of your hip to the other back of your hip and measure the width. Mine was 18 inches. But my fabric is already 18 inches long, so I didn't need to worry about that. Some of you, though, may need to do a little trimming on the side. Now, you're going to fold it over, just like this, just in half. And go ahead and take that tape measure of yours and measure 5 inches across. Then put a mark. Now measure 6 inches down. And put a mark. Now draw a line from one mark to another. Go ahead and cut off this triangle. Now I'm going to unfold my fabric. You should have 2 little parts cut off at the top now. Then put your hand in the middle of your fabric and mark each side of your hand. Now you're going to sew all the way around the other sides, but leave this hole for turning. So all the other edges except for right here. I'm going to put some pins in and I'll see you at the sewing machine. Be sure to put the pins in the opposite way from the way you're sewing. So if I was sewing this part, I'd put them in just like that. Now that I'm finished pinning, I'm going to find my hole again. Now, I'm going to start at not this mark, but this mark. Now, go ahead and place your fabric on your sewing machine. And be sure to line up the edge of your foot with the edge of your fabric. Now, put your pressure foot down. Go ahead and press your pedal. Be sure this is on slow. Be sure to take your pins out as you go. When you get to your corner, Go ahead and put your needle down and then pick up your presser foot and then turn it. This will give you a nice clean edge. Now I'm gonna sew all the other sides till I get back to this other yellow mark. I'll see you at the cutting table. Now that you've finished sewing, take your scissors and clip your corners. Be sure not to clip the thread, only clip the fabric. That way you don't have a hole in your apron. Do this to every single one of your corners. This will make sure that these corners are easy to poke out. Now that you've done that, go ahead and reach your hand into the hole you left. Grab some of your fabric and start pulling. Repeat this step until your whole apron is turned right side out. This shouldn't take long. If you stop halfway turning, it could also work as a bow. Now get something to poke your corners. You could use a pen without a tip, but I'm using a little poker. Stick it into your corner and apply little pressure. See? Now it's time to iron it. Be sure to get an adult supervision for this, because irons can be very hot, or just have them do it. Be sure to get your edges very well. This will make sure that your apron doesn't start This will make sure that your apron doesn't start curling up in the middle of your cooking class. Also, it'll get out those nice stern wrinkles. Now that I have it all ironed, I'm going to top stitch all the way around.
A top stitch is?
A top stitch is when you align the edge of your foot to the edge of your fabric and you're sewing around something. So you're going to top stitch all the way around. This will make it look very professional. Now you're going to take your twill tape and fold it in half. Once you've done that, fold it in half once more. Then take your nifty scissors and cut on all the folds. This will give you 4 equal pieces of twill tape. Now, I'm going to put my apron on so I can figure out where to put my straps. So, I want my straps to go around my waist. So I'm going to find out where my waist is on my apron. I'm going to hold it with my fingers. I'm going to mark where my waist is with my fingers and where I want to tie it. Make sure that your apron is on correctly. Okay, so now lay your apron down so that the solid side is facing up. Laid flat. Okay, so now put a little crease in your apron so you know where it is. Then grab 2 pins and put them where you just creased. Now you can flat out the crease. Now, take 2 of your equal pieces of twill tape and really quickly undo your pins and put the twill tape right where the pin was and repin it. Do the same to the other side. Now I'm going to pin these 2 right here. They're going to go right, the edge of this is going to align with the corner of here. Now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew a little box where all of these connect. Now that we've sewn your apron, lay out your fat quarter and fold it hot dog style so that the pretty edge is on the inside. Then, at 12 inches, cut it. This part can be thrown away. Now we're going to end up sewing these 2 sides and the bottom, but we have to mark a hole in the bottom so that we can turn it right side up. Your hole only needs to be a couple inches wide. Then take some pins and pin it. Be sure to pin the pins the opposite way from the way you're sewing. I'm going to finish pinning and I'll see you at the sewing machine. Now that I have it all pinned, I'm going to sew it. Be sure not to sew your hole that you marked. Now that I've sewn my 2 sides and part of my bottom but left a hole for turning, I'm going to clip my corners. Not all my corners, since I didn't sew this side, you're only going to clip these 2 corners. Remember, don't cut the thread when you clip your corners. Now that I've clipped my corners, I'm going to turn it. So I'm going to poke some out and then start pulling from each side. Right now I'm just making sure that my corners are nice and pointy. Now, I still have a hole right here, but you want to go to your folded side and you're going to do a nice top stitch right here. Remember, a top stitch is when you line up the edge of your fabric with the edge of your foot and sew straight across. Now that I've sewed the folded side of my apron, I'm going to lay it down on the folded side of my pocket. I'm going to lay it down on my apron, generally in line with the ties. Then, so that our aprons have divided pockets, I'm going to fold my apron into thirds. This could take a couple tries. Then, do a good press so that you have some creases. Open it back up. You should have some little creases where you folded. Then I'm going to take my ruler and my pen, and I'm going to trace on those creases.
Disappearing ink.
So this is disappearing ink, so it will disappear after a while once you put it on. Now make sure that your pocket is in line and you're gonna sew on these 3 sides. I would recommend putting some pins in. Now I've sewn my dividers, and I've sewn all the way around my pocket. And you're done with your apron. Great job. Just a sneak peek of how it looks on me.